I want to talk about shrinkflation. So shrinkflation, as I brought before, it's really fascinating, right? It's a process of shrinking product sizes while keeping the prices the same or even increasing them. In essence, you're getting less for the same amount of money. This trend is becoming more prevalent in the grocery industry, and its consequences ripple through our households. Let's start with the grocery stores themselves. As you walk through the aisles, you might notice that your favorite products don't seem as big as they used to. That cereal box, the bag of chips, or the carton of ice cream, they all appear slightly smaller. Manufacturers are reducing the quantity of the product you receive, often in subtle ways, like reducing the number of cookies in a pack or slimming down the width of a candy bar. And I'm going to have you some examples of this, because I think it's pretty fascinating. You know, we have Nutella. A year ago, it used to be 375 grams, or 400 grams. Now it's 375 grams. That's a reduction of 6.3%. Chunky's soup, Campbell's soup, was 540 milliliters. Now it's 515 milliliters. That's a reduction of 5%. Crispers used to be 175 grams, now 145 grams. I noticed this the other day when I was picking up some groceries for my children for school. Reduction of 17%. You lost 17% of Crispers. We have singles, craft singles, even if it's a family and a budget. And I talked to someone the other day who said for their family, because of the increases of rent and mortgage, they're bringing home less of a paycheck. They make a dinner for their families and they make something else for their children because they can't afford to give the same meal to their children they do for their family. And it might be a grilled cheese sandwich, but even craft singles, sliced cheese, before was 24 slices, now it's 22 slices. Wow. And when you're making lunch or dinner for your family, that's a big deal. That's 9%. We have chewy granola bars. Used to be 6 bars, now it's 5 bars. I'm going to save this one. This is really important. And fine ground coffee. Used to be 1,000 grams, now at 930 grams. This is Tim Hortons Original Blend Coffee, a reduction of 7%, which is pretty sad. But the problem with that, Madam Speaker, when I talk about granola bars that went from 6 bars to 5 bars, there's something else significant that happens from that when we see that reduction. And that's the imposition of a new tax called a snack tax that goes on to everyday grocery items. So not a lot of Canadians know this, but there is a snack tax that goes on many items like cookies, or it goes on chips, or it goes on ice cream, or snacks like granola bars, which maybe sometimes is the only thing we can put in our child's lunch bags. But I'll tell you, when the manufacturer has shrinkflation and they decrease prices, that grocery tax, that snack tax, is automatically implemented, which means because of inflation, because of dominance of our monopolies, and now because manufacturers are shrinking the product they have, we actually have government tax going on some of these grocery items in the grocery store, meaning the government is now making money on side items because of inflation. And that's really sad. When we take this to committee, this is something obviously I think we're going to study. I know my colleague before for the NDP talked about some other elements. But how sad is it when we talk about what's happening in the grocery store and certain elements that the government is actually making money on it? And that's what's happening, Madam Speaker, when it comes to shrinkflation. You know, I think we can all agree that when it comes to looking after the consumer, when it looks after rent and it comes to grocery, we certainly have a lot of ideas that we need to implement that are going to help the consumer. And at the end of the day, we understand on this side that a lot of these ideas came from this side of the House, but also from a lot of great committee work from members on this side of the House. And we have to be very cognizant when we're putting all this forward that we're doing the best we can for consumers, Madam Speaker. Those consumers, those families that every day have to make decisions from their household, and it's always going to be at the grocery store. Madam Speaker, this bill is equivalent to the shrug emoji. You know, we can support it, but it needs a lot more to actually make grocery prices affordable in Canada. After 8 years of this tired Liberal government, this government is out of ideas. There's a few good ideas in here thanks to the Conservative government, but it fails in the most part to follow through with better ideas that take a big chunk of which is a major oligopoly in Canada that gives Canadians little choices, and you keep paying for more and more at the grocery store for less. With shrinkflation and the tax that follow it's eating more of Canadians' paychecks, with the carbon tax, which takes a chunk out of farmers, out of those that deliver the food, and of course the consumers that buy the food. Competition Act changes are good, but we must go further to stop the abusive dominance provisions that exist in the Competition Act. And those provisions are the most prevalent, those that allow monopolies to take advantage of Canadians, of consumers, and most importantly, manufacturers and farmers, in the whole process. And most of all, Madam Speaker, we need more competition in Canada, from food manufacturers to farmers, to ensure Canadians have freedom of choice. And when they have freedom of choice, they will decide best where to put their money, where to put their hard-earned paychecks, to bring lower prices home for Canadians and their families. Thank you, Madam Speaker.